The storm tore through the outer colonies like nature's own fury, sending sheets of rain against the metal walls of Marcus Kane's salvage yard. He wiped grease from his hands and cursed as another lightning bolt illuminated the chaos outside his workshop. 23 years of fixing broken alien tech had taught him to read the weather, and tonight promised to be brutal. Marcus was reaching for his coffee when he heard it, a soft thud against his workshop door. Different from the winds howling, he grabbed his plasma cutter and cautiously approached the entrance. Through the reinforced glass, he saw a figure slumped against the doorway. The woman was barely conscious, her dark hair plastered against pale skin that seemed to shimmer faintly in the dim light. Her clothing was simple, almost servant-like, but something about her posture suggested nobility. Marcus hesitated. Taking in strays was dangerous in the outer colonies, especially alien ones. Me, she whispered in accented English, her voice melodic despite her obvious pain. Her eyes opened briefly, revealing an unusual golden hue that caught the workshop's flickering light. Against his better judgment, Marcus pulled her inside. She was lighter than he expected, her body warm against his chest as he carried her to his small living area behind the workshop. He laid her gently on his couch, noting how her fingers were unmarked by labor. Definitely not a worker. "What's your name?" Marcus asked, offering her water from his emergency supplies. "Naya," she replied softly, accepting the cup with graceful hands. "I am grateful for your kindness, human." Something in the way she said human made Marcus pause. Most aliens in the colonies were casual about species differences, but Naya spoke with formal precision. He watched as she examined his workshop with intelligent eyes, taking in details most refugees wouldn't notice. "Where did you come from?" Marcus pressed NAIA single quotes. His gaze dropped. "My transport was attacked by raiders. Escaped in a pod but crash-landed nearby." She gestured weakly toward the storm. "I walked until I found your light." The explanation felt rehearsed, but Marcus didn't push. The outer colonies were full of people running from something. He fetched a blanket and some dried food, trying to ignore how her presence seemed to transform his cramped quarters as Naya rested. Marcus found himself stealing glances at her. Despite her exhaustion, she held herself with unconscious dignity. Her simple clothes couldn't hide the way she moved, like someone accustomed to being obeyed rather than commanded. "You can stay until the storm passes," Marcus offered. "Then we'll figure out how to get you to the main colony." Naya's golden eyes met his, and for a moment, something vulnerable flickered across her features. "Thank you, Marcus Kane. Your reputation for kindness precedes you." Marcus froze. He'd never told her his full name. 3 days passed before the storm cleared, and Naya showed no signs of leaving. Marcus didn't mind her presence brought an unexpected warmth to his solitary life. She helped organize his workshop with an efficiency that impressed him, somehow knowing exactly how to categorize alien components he'd been puzzling over for years. Marcus asked, watching her delicately adjust a quantum stabilizer that had baffled him for months. Hands stilled. "I worked in the technical sectors before the raiders attacked our transport." Another careful answer. Marcus was beginning to recognize the pattern. He studied her profile as she worked, noting the elegant line of her neck and the way she held her shoulders. Everything about her screamed aristocracy. From her perfect posture to the way she ate with unconscious refinement, their eyes met frequently throughout the day, lingering moments that sent heat through Marcus's chest. When Naya smiled truly, it transformed her entire face, making his workshop feel like the center of the universe that evening. As they shared a simple meal, Naya surprised him with personal questions. "Do you not grow lonely out here, Marcus? Away from your own kind?" Marcus shrugged. "Humans aren't exactly welcome in the inner systems. The colonies suit me fine. But surely you desire companionship, perhaps a mate?" The directness of the question caught him off guard. "I've never found anyone worth the trouble," he admitted. "No." His gaze became thoughtful. "My experience, the greatest treasures are often found in unexpected places." Before Marcus could respond to the loaded statement, alarms began blaring. Throughout the settlement, emergency lights painted everything red as automated warnings echoed through the night. Unregistered ships approaching. All residents to emergency shelters. Through his window, Marcus saw sleek vessels descending through the atmosphere, definitely not colonial ships. Their design was unmistakably Kethral. All flowing lines and predatory grace. Nai had gone rigid, her face pale. "They found me," she whispered. "Who found you?" Marcus demanded. Before she could answer, his communication system crackled to life. A harsh voice filled the room, speaking in the clicking consonants of the Kethral language. Naya translated automatically. "They're looking for someone. A fugitive." Her voice was barely audible. "They're offering a substantial reward." Marcus felt pieces clicking into place. Her refined mannerisms, her technical knowledge, the way she'd known his reputation. "Naya, who are you really?" She turned to him, golden eyes bright with unshed tears. "Someone who cannot go back," she said simply. "Someone who would rather die free than live in chains." The conviction in her voice sent a chill through Marcus. Whoever Naya really was, she was running from something terrible enough to risk death. "In the outer colonies, we need to hide you," he said without hesitation. Naya's expression softened with gratitude and something deeper. "Why would you risk yourself for me?" Marcus moved closer, drawn by the vulnerability in her voice. "Maybe because I'm starting to care what happens to you?" Their faces were inches apart now, and Marcus could see golden flecks dancing in her eyes. The moment stretched between them, heavy with possibility, until the sound of landing ships shattered the spell. The bounty hunters came at dawn. Marcus watched through his security monitors as armed figures in environmental suits spread through the settlement. Their movements coordinated and professional. These weren't common raiders. They were Kethral. Military forces. "They'll search every building," Naya said, her composure cracking as she watched the screens. "Marcus, there's something you must know about me." "Save it," Marcus interrupted, pulling emergency supplies from hidden compartments. "Explanations can wait until we're not about to be captured." But Naya caught his arm, her touch electric even through his shirt. "No, you deserve the truth. My full name is Naya Velthera, and I was a princess of the Kethral Empire." Marcus stared at her, pieces of the puzzle finally falling into place. A princess, running from an arranged marriage? To Emperor Zaxxon of the rival Thane dynasty, she confirmed. A political alliance that would cement peace between our peoples, but would trap me in a loveless union with a tyrant? Her voice broke slightly. "I have seen what he does to those who displease him." The weight of her revelation settled over Marcus. He was harboring alien royalty, someone whose disappearance had probably triggered an interstellar incident. A smart thing would be to turn her over and collect the reward instead. He found himself reaching for her face, cupping her cheek gently. "Then we make sure they don't find you." Naya's eyes widened with surprise and something deeper. "You would defy an empire for someone you barely know?" "I know enough," Marcus said simply. "I know you're brave enough to risk everything for freedom. I know you're kind and intelligent and hesitated, then forged ahead. I know that in 3 days you've become more important to me than anything else in this sector." Tears gathered in Naya's golden eyes. "Marcus, I cannot ask you to sacrifice your life for mine. You're not asking. I'm choosing." Their lips met in a kiss that was desperate and tender, filled with the urgency of their situation and the growing connection between them. Naya's hands fisted in Marcus's shirt as she pressed closer, and he could feel her trembling against him. When they broke apart, both were breathing hard. "If we do this," Naya whispered, "there will be no going back. It will hunt us both." Marcus smiled grimly. "Then we better make sure we stay ahead of them." He led her to a hidden panel in his workshop floor, revealing a narrow tunnel that connected to the old mining shafts beneath the settlement. "Emergency exit," he explained. "Leads to a cave system about 2 kilometers from here. I keep a ship hidden there." As they gathered essential supplies, Naya moved with newfound purpose. Gone was the helpless refugee. In her place stood someone accustomed to command, even in crisis. "The ship, is it fast?" she asked, checking the power cells on Marcus's plasma. Cutter with practiced efficiency. "Fast enough," Marcus replied, impressed by her transformation. Oh, though probably not luxurious enough for royalty. Naya caught his hand, intertwining their fingers. Luxury is meaningless without freedom. And freedom is sweeter when shared with someone you. She paused, as if the words were too dangerous to speak. Someone you what? Marcus prompted softly. Someone you could love, she finished. Meeting his gaze directly, the admission hung between them as sounds of the search grew closer. Marcus squeezed her hand, pouring all his feelings into that simple touch. Whatever came next, they would face it together. Flight and Romance Marcus's ship was a modified cargo hauler, unglamorous but reliable, with enough firepower to discourage casual pirates. As they broke atmosphere, he checked the sensors for pursuit. It didn't take long to find them. 3 Cathral interceptors, gaining fast, he reported grimly. An AIA had taken the co-pilot seat with natural ease, her fingers dancing over the navigation controls. Set course for the asteroid belt in System Gamma 7, she instructed. I know those rocks, we can lose them there. Marcus shot her a look. How does a princess know asteroid hiding spots? The same way a princess learns to fight and fly and survive, Naya replied, her voice carrying old pain. By having tutors who believed I should be prepared for anything. They worked in perfect synchronization, Naya's tactical knowledge complementing Marcus's piloting skills. When the interceptors opened fire, Marcus threw the ship into evasive maneuvers, while Naya managed the shields and returned fire. Trying to disable us, not destroy, she observed, watching the enemy fire patterns. They want me alive. That's something at least, Marcus muttered. What? Threading them through a narrow gap between asteroids. Hours of cat and mouse followed before. They finally lost their pursuers in the belt's dense core. Marcus found a hidden alcove in a massive asteroid and powered down all non-essential systems. In the sudden quiet, exhaustion hit them both. We did it, Naya breathed, slumping in her chair. For now, Marcus agreed, but he was watching her face. In the dim emergency lighting, adrenaline had left her cheeks flushed, her eyes bright with exhilaration. She looked magnificent. What are you thinking? She asked softly, catching his stare. Instead of answering, Marcus unbuckled his harness and moved to her chair, kneeling beside it so they were at eye level. I'm thinking that 3 days ago I thought I knew what I wanted from life. Naya's breathing quickened. And now, I want things I never let myself imagine. His hand found hers, thumb stroking over her knuckles. I want to see the stars with you. I want to wake up beside you. I want to protect you and be protected by you, Marcus. She whispered, but her protest died as he leaned closer. Tell me you feel it too, he murmured against her lips. Tell me this isn't just proximity and danger. It isn't, she confirmed, her free hand sliding into his hair. It's terrifying and wonderful and completely impossible, but it isn't just proximity. Their second kiss was slower than the first, a thorough exploration that left them both shaking. When Naya's uniform tunic somehow became unbuttoned, neither questioned it. When Marcus's hands mapped the silk-soft skin of her shoulders, she arched into his touch with soft sounds of pleasure. We should rest, Marcus said against her throat, though his actions contradicted his words as he found sensitive spots that made her gasp. We should, Naya agreed, but her fingers were working at his shirt fasteners, though rest seems unlikely. They made love in the narrow pilot's alcove with desperate tenderness, to people who had found something precious in the darkness between stars. Afterward, wrapped together in emergency blankets, they spoke in whispers about impossible futures. When this is over, Marcus said, stroking her hair. What then? Do you go back to being a princess? Naya was quiet for so long he thought she'd fallen asleep. Finally, she spoke. There is no going back, Marcus. The moment I ran, I ceased to be Princess Naya of Elthera. I'm just Naya now, a woman in love with a human salvage dealer. The simple declaration hit him harder than any grand gesture could. Have I love you too, he said quietly, whatever that means for us. But even as they held each other in the darkness, both knew their pursuers wouldn't give up easily. Somewhere in the void, the Kethral Empire was mobilizing to bring their princess home. They had been running for 2 weeks when the inevitable happened. Marcus's ship dropped out of hyperspace into what should have been empty void, only to find themselves surrounded by a massive Kethriel fleet. The flagship alone dwarfed his cargo, hauler by a factor of 50. Imperial command vessel, this is Emperor Zaxxon himself, came the transmission, the voice carrying absolute authority. Return my daughter immediately, human, and your death will be swift. Naya had gone rigid in the co-pilot seat. My father, she whispered. He's here himself. Marcus studied the overwhelming force arrayed against them. Dozens of warships. All focused on his tiny vessel. He should have been terrified. Instead, he felt oddly calm. Naya, he said quietly, I need you to know something before this ends. Don't, she pleaded. Don't say goodbye. Marcus replied, his hands steady on the controls. I'm saying that loving you has been the greatest privilege of my life. Before she could respond, he opened a channel to the flagship. Emperor Zaxxon, this is Marcus Kane. Your daughter is safe, but she's not your prisoner anymore. She's free to choose her own path. The response was immediate and cold. You dare lecture me about my own daughter, human? Surrender now or watch your pathetic species burn for your arrogance? Naya suddenly stood, moving to the communication console with regal bearing. When she spoke, her voice carried all the authority of her royal blood. Father, I am Princess Naya Velthera, and I renounce my claim to the throne. I choose exile over slavery, love over duty. This human has shown me what it means to be valued for who I am, not what I represent. Silence stretched across the void. When Emperor Zaxxon finally responded, his voice was deadly quiet. You would abandon your people for this creature. I would free myself to become who I was meant to be, Naya replied firmly. Marcus watched the tactical display as weapons powered up across the fleet. Time for his gambit. He activated a sequence he'd programmed weeks ago, broadcasting on all frequencies. Attention, Kethriel fleet. You're not dealing with just one human. You're dealing with humanity itself. As if summoned, human ships began dropping out of hyperspace around them. Colonial defense vessels, independent traders, even converted cargo ships bristling with improvised weapons. Marcus had sent word through every human network in the sector. See, Your Majesty, Marcus continued, humans have this trait. We don't abandon our own, and Naya chose to become one of us. The odds were still hopeless. The human ships were outnumbered and outgunned. But they held formation, a defiant statement that some things were worth fighting for. Emperor Zaxxon's next transmission was directed at Naya alone. Daughter, is this truly your choice? Exile and struggle over comfort and purpose. At Marcus, then at the human ships risking everything for a stranger's freedom. It is father. I choose love over law, freedom over safety, hope over certainty. The silence stretched for long minutes. Finally, the Emperor's voice returned, heavy with resignation. Then you are no longer my daughter, Naya Velthora, but perhaps you have found something more valuable than a crown. The Imperial fleet began to withdraw, their weapons powering down. Emperor Zaxxon's final transmission was barely audible. Be happy, child. Be free. As the last Kethriel ship vanished into hyperspace, the human vessels began transmitting congratulations and offers of safe harbor. Naya turned to Marcus with tears streaming down her face. We did it, she whispered. We're free. Marcus pulled her into his arms, spinning her around the small cockpit. We're free, he agreed. So what do you want to do with your freedom, princess? Naya kissed him thoroughly before answering. First, it's just Naya now. Second, I want to see the universe with my husband if he'll have me. Always, Marcus promised and sealed it with a kiss that tasted like stardust and new beginnings.